he was the governor, and he had come from being the president of General of American Motors, and Hamtramck had a sit-in, and it was Hamtramck was a Detroit Metropolitan School District that was abutted to the city of Detroit. I don't know, there might have been 300 or 400, maybe 500 teachers in Hamtramck. It was very Polish. It was very pro-union, and the teachers sat in this, and I think Romney, I know, was the governor at the time, and they wanted the school district to bargain with them, and the district wouldn't, and so Romney in the settlement said he would explore passing a collective bargaining law. And there was a guy in the state labor board who was from Grand Rapids who had had a lot of experience in private sector collective bargaining, and so Romney supported passing and helped pass a collective bargaining law in Michigan for all public employees, including teachers. And there was a lot of school districts that weren't settled. I don't know, 15 or 20% by the time opening a school arrived the first year. And he just said, we're not going to have 15 or 20% of our schools striking. And the governor took a active role in it, and so did this guy who was the chairman of the labor board. Most of the administrators in most of these northern states had belonged to the NEA state affiliate. So the guy who was the principal at Croswell Lexington High School, where I taught first before going to Big Rapids, was on the state board of directors of the Michigan Education Association. He was a high school principal, and he was on the board. And there probably were 3 or 4 people who were high school principals, elementary school principals, or superintendents that were on the board of the Michigan Education Association. And the Michigan Education Association voted after the bargaining law passed to not implement, to recommend to their locals not to use the law and bargain. And the MEA hired a Jewish attorney who worked for the UAW in Michigan. And he said to the MEA, well, you can take that position if you want to, but in 5 years, all your locals, or most all of them, will be AFT. So if you want to go out of existence as an entity, then you ought to just keep that position. Well, the administrators weren't sure they wanted that was what they wanted, that as professionals, they didn't want to act like a union. And so there was a big fight inside the MEA between the superintendents and principals and the teachers. But it was clearly settled quickly because the teachers were the dominant number of the members, and they were on the boards, and so they just said, we're gonna implement collective bargaining. And there was a lot of hard feelings between the superintendents and principals who had built this entity, and who were, many of them, pretty pro-teacher. So there was a lot of stress in the first 3 years. But the executive secretary of the outfit had been a school teacher, had been a school superintendent, and he just said, we cannot not implement this law. If we do, we're saying we want to cease to exist as an organization. It got settled in probably 2 years, but there were a lot of hard feelings because the administrators, many of them were decent humans, treated the teachers decently. It wasn't that the teachers, you know, they were doing this because the teachers wanted them to. They knew that a lot of the teachers wanted to be have more say, but and there was. And Michigan had enough labor union background that the AFT had a lot of locals.